Hello and welcome to the PW Mania interview. I'm Lewis Carlin. Joining me today is a man who has held titles in the WWE, New Japan Pro Wrestling, and Ring of Honor. He's a man who really needs no introduction. Very happy to introduce Bobby Fish. Bobby, welcome to the show.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. I appreciate the kind words.
Hey, my pleasure, my pleasure. So let's get right into it. On April 22nd, you are facing Will Ospreay, One Pro Wrestling, All or Nothing. Winner
Mhm.
will be advancing to the Final Four to determine a new One Pro Wrestling World Champion. Your
Mhm.
thoughts on that match and your thoughts on Will Ospreay?
Yeah, pretty excited about that. That popped up on my radar not too long ago. The opportunity presented itself, and for numerous reasons, I jumped at it. When it comes to Will Ospreay, I mean, obviously, I was with New Japan when Will, first kind of happened upon the scene. There was certainly a huge upside to him, and I think we all realized he was something special. And I don't think I don't think he's disappointed. He's had quite the career, continues to have quite the career. Will and I veered in different directions, went on to do different things. But then recently, I want to say it was something with AEW where Will and I saw one another again for the first time in a few years. So it was good to see him catch up, and now we're going to be able to catch up in a different way, which is pretty damn cool in and of itself because I think he's a different performer today than when last we met. And I'd like to, think the same of myself. So it's going to be interesting to see how that matchup plays out, all these years later.
And you met in 2016, Best of the Super Juniors.
Yes.
He defeated you. I'm not sure if you guys met after that, but are you looking to get that win back from Will Ospreay?
Yeah, I think you're always, looking to anytime you have a loss on your record, um, you're always looking to get that one back. You're always looking to either even it up or win in the rubber match and you never really know. Like, I mean, pro wrestling is just it's really one of those strange things where you don't know when you're going to cross paths with people again, and it's truly unpredictable in that you will, I'll say to give you a for instance, those years with New Japan, Kyle and I were running pretty hard,
Hmm.
and I'll say Matt and Nick Jackson, the Young Bucks, were two guys that
Oh yeah.
we were constantly linked to and constantly with, whether it was Ring of Honor or New Japan, or even Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, whatever it was. And then Kyle and I end up going to NXT, and Matt and Nick continue to do their things in the same way that like Will Ospreay continued to do his thing with New Japan. Um, and these people that you had spent the last few years seeing on a monthly, sometimes weekly basis, spending more time with them than your own family sometimes. You don't see for years to come. And that was certainly the way that things would play out with Will Ospreay and I. So I can't put into words how excited I am to have an opportunity to get this one back at 1PW next month.
Yeah, it's going to be a great. Is it going to be streamed anywhere? Do you know the show?
I think so. I think on Fight
Okay.
TV or the Premiere Net. I think it's the Premiere Network, which is
Okay.
actually where my I have a podcast, the Undisputed Podcast with Bobby Fish.
There you go.
It airs the video portion of that airs exclusively on Premiere, and Premiere is carrying the 1PW pay per view on April 22nd. Yes.
Okay, I will definitely check that out. And
Yeah.
speaking of New Japan Pro Wrestling, I believe your last match was last month against Dave Finley. What's your status right now with New Japan Pro Wrestling?
Yes. We're still, there's still interest to both sides. It's a mutual interest. I don't know how opened back up Japan is at the moment. I know there are guys that are making regular trips over. There's the whole visa issue and all that stuff. So what was the least complicated thing for me to do was to start working for New Japan Strong, which is what I was doing. And I believe we'll continue to do. As far as heading over to Japan, it's been a few years since I've worked there regularly, and I would love nothing more than to get some more, few more trips on my passport over to Japan.
There you go.
I have history there. I love New Japan as a company. I love Japan as a country. Um, Recently, I got married, and my stepdaughter has always wanted to go to Japan, and I would love nothing more than to bring my wife and my our 10-year-old to Japan to see a Tokyo Dome show. That'd be pretty
There
cool.
you go. My dream is to see a card at Corkian Hall. That's on my bucket
Okay.
list right there. The legendary Corkian
Yeah,
Hall.
there's a charm to that building for sure. That's
Yeah.
the my way back in my career, that was the first exposure, that was my introduction to Japanese wrestling, because when I went over to work for Pro Wrestling Noah, I didn't know I was going over to wrestle that first,
Okay.
that I wasn't sure if I was just going to the dojo, or what the situation was. And I flew in, and that evening, unbeknownst to me, that
Hmm.
morning when I flew in, that evening I would be wrestling on Samurai TV at Corrigan Hall, my first match
Wow. That must
ever
have been amazing.
televised. So
That must have
yeah,
been amazing.
yeah. And there's a charm to that building that just defies description. So very cool.
Absolutely. Speaking of Pro Wrestling Noah, is they're on the rise right now. They're thriving. Is that a
Mm.
promotion you might want to go back into?
For sure. I mean, they were integral doesn't even sum it up. Like, I mean, that's where I cut my teeth. That was my first opportunity in the pro wrestling business. Was the first TV company I worked for was Pro Wrestling Noah. So it was a different kind of thing, in that you're on TV, you're making a living, but you're doing it on the other side of the world. So like,
Mhm.
it did little to increase notoriety, let's say, at that time here in this country. But
Okay.
I was a semi-regular on TV in Japan, and and I was wrestling against guys like Kenta and Nomichi Marufuji,
Yeah, yeah.
getting to do
Mhm.
six-man tags and stuff with people like Mitsuharu Masawa,
Yeah, wow. Yeah.
Taue, just uh yeah, I mean, I can't um I I can't overstate how valuable that experience was, for sure.
Are you enjoying free agency right now, or are you looking to find a permanent home?
I right now I'd say I'm really kind of enjoying free agency. So a couple things that popped up that I would not have been able to do um should I have been with a larger company the way that I have been for the past decade or so. I fought on the Floyd Mayweather undercard in Dubai in November. So I actually had my first professional boxing match
Mhm.
um, after 20 some odd years in professional wrestling. But prior to that, I had had three amateur kickboxing fights, but
Okay.
they were kickboxing, which kickboxing and boxing are very different things. That very much fell in my lap. It wasn't really on my radar, let's say, at the beginning of the year or the end of the year before. Um, and if I was still with, like, if things had worked out with AEW, or I was with WWE or something, I would not have been able to take that fight. So that was an opportunity,
Hmm.
something that I really can't put a value on. They flew my agent over, they flew my coach over, they flew my wife over. So I got to spend a week in Dubai. Yeah, I mean, it just was to have missed out on that would have kind of sucked. So
Yeah.
that
Uh,
alone has helped me to appreciate this time. Obviously, the security of a regular contract is always attractive, but yeah, right now I'd say I'm enjoying free agency.
and you're undefeated. You're an undefeated boxer right now, right? So yeah, are you going to retire undefeated, or is there going to be another fight?
Originally it was supposed to be a two fight deal. So
Okay.
we had two fights inked. However, if they don't, if Global Titans does not run another event, that obviously won't happen. It seems to be up in the air. I'd say probably leaning closer to the direction of no, which
Okay.
sucks.
Okay.
Because even that one fight, like it was man, it was awesome. What an experience. And I really I would like to fight again, whether it be boxing or to be honest, I'd rather do some kickboxing again. I'd really
Okay.
like to, or even MMA. But the itch to compete is still there. I don't know,
Okay.
maybe it'll never go away.
Okay.
um but yeah, I don't think for Global Titans there'll be another fight, but maybe somewhere else.
Okay. Well, we'll keep our eyes on that. Hopefully, it'll happen for you one day. Do you prefer wrestling or do you prefer boxing?
Um, I would say I don't know. It's a toss up. It's a
Okay.
tough one. I mean, I really, if I had my druthers, it'd be I would really like I would love to do some kickboxing
Okay.
um at a high level, the highest level that I could aspire to. I would really like to do some kickboxing. I'm a huge MMA fan, so that would require maybe a little bit more work on my part, but not work that I'm opposed to. I would there's, let's call things what they are. And pro wrestling is its own animal, and competition, which is what I've done my whole life. I started martial arts as an 8-year old, and
Okay.
competed in athletics my whole life. Contact sports was kind of my lane. So that itch to compete is still there. And I think sometimes that gets satisfied in a way with 20 some odd years in pro wrestling. There's certainly been some competitive times. Um, but there's something simple about competing, whether it be boxing or a football game or there's a single-minded purpose in that moment. And that, like, I'm going out and I'm trying to hurt this person, or they're trying to hurt me or beat me or whatever that is. There's something pure about that yeah, I think I still crave.
Okay. Well, I'm sure one day you'll be back in the ring, either kickboxing or boxing. It sounds like you really want to do it, and
Maybe.
okay. All right. There you go.
Maybe, and if not, it's no big deal. I'm at the point in my life where I'm pretty I'm pretty satisfied with the life that I've lived. There's more that I want to live,
Okay.
and there's definitely more things I want to do. But I'm also in this place where I'm pretty goddamn happy too.
That's good. That's good. So Ring of Honor is actually back with TV programming. Should the opportunity
Yes.
present itself, would you be open to returning to Ring of Honor?
Ring of Honor is definitely a place that will always hold some space in my heart, and the things that I love about the industry and about really just all of it. I mean, that's the place where Kyle and I got to grow as a team. I'd say that that was probably the most important part of my maturing process when it came to being a professional wrestler, was the time that, Kyle and I started doing Red Dragon, and that, I think, really formed who I would become as a performer. And that's where I found my lane. I think Kyle had a similar experience. So Ring of Honor being that place, and New Japan in a way as well. um yeah, Ring of Honor would always be someplace that would interest me. I love the fresh coat of paint that it seems to have been given. I love to see a guy like Samoa Joe back there doing
Oh
the
yeah.
things that he's doing. Claudio Castagnoli doing the things that he's doing. I've been a huge fan of Samoa Joe since longer than Samoa Joe would even
Mm,
remember. Wait, he was one of the first independent wrestlers, we'll call it, that
okay.
non WWF guys that I became aware of, that really captivated me, and I was, cutting my teeth as an independent, and um getting reps for Pro Wrestling Noah and whatever. But here I saw this, big Samoan dude, way more athletic than he's supposed to be, and he had legitimate martial arts. And I knew that I had legitimate martial arts, and I was trying to figure out how it was that fits into my pro wrestling, you know. And it's a process. It's a process, and I would tell anybody that would be coming up trying to do something similar to that. Um, it doesn't just happen, and you once you kind of get your basis of your pro wrestling, it's up to you to add your flavor to it. And my flavor, I knew all along, was I wanted it to be martial arts, but I didn't know how to integrate that. And Joe was one of the first guys that I saw who was finding that balance of integrating, martial arts into his pro wrestling,
Yeah,
making
he's
it
a
believable.
great talent, Samoa Joe. I've been following his career for quite some time.
Yeah.
So how is your relationship with Tony Khan right now? Is this on good terms with Tony Khan still, or
I mean, as far as I know, unless he's told told you
okay?
something different, I've always had what I would like to consider a good relationship with Tony. Tony is in that company. He's, dare I say, spread thin. Like, he's only one man, and he's got a lot of people pulling at him from different directions. So I will say, for myself in that company, I tried for the most part to do my job and kind of fly under the radar. I would request time if it was needed, but I tried not to be a pain in the ass about it,
Okay,
because I would hear, murmurs about, this person or that person being a pain in the ass. And um, I don't know. I think squeaky wheel gets the oil, and maybe that is prevalent in the industry many times. But I'm just not comfortable being that guy, So
okay.
I tried to get the time when I could, and if it wasn't there, it just wasn't there.
All right, man. Fair enough, man. So I want to talk about Impact Wrestling. Now you appeared at Impact Wrestling Victory Road 2022. I was watching, came out, tremendous ovation when you came out at Victory Road. But you were only there for one set of TV tapings. I always thought I thought when you first came out, you were going to be there for a lot longer than that. Is there a reason why you were only there for one set of TV tapings?
If there's a reason, I don't know.
Okay,
You could maybe ask them.
okay,
But it was, we talked about more than just that, but we did not ink anything permanently. And I
okay,
don't know if it became, the asking price was too high, or I don't know. I know that we didn't do more stuff moving forward. We didn't really talk about a permanent sort of fixture type of thing other than preliminary talks. So I mean, it could have simply come down to that. They
Okay.
it may have been that they didn't have um, pockets deep enough
Okay.
or
Okay.
didn't see me as valuable as I saw myself. I don't know, to be honest.
Okay. I know the match happened during those set of tapings with Josh Alexander, but
Yeah.
I thought you were going to win the Call Your Shot Gauntlet, and they were going to build up to a big match between you and Josh Alexander. It all just feels so rushed, and I just was wondering why you weren't there longer. But thank you for
I
explaining
don't
it to me.
I don't really know. I know I had I we talked about the match with Josh, so I put very much my focus on that, and I went out and I had the best match that I could have with Josh, which is not a difficult thing to do at all.
Yeah,
Josh
yeah,
is
he's
incredibly
terrific.
talented,
Yeah,
and I dare I say, not to pat us on our own backs, but dare I say we had a good one, and I was happy with it. The outcome was what it was. But I enjoyed the chemistry that he and I seemed to have all these years later. We had wrestled in a tag match. It was Red Dragon and him and I forgot what their name was at the time.
Monster Mafia with
Yeah,
Ethan
Monster
Page.
Mafia.
With
Yes,
Ethan
with
Page, yeah.
Ethan. Yep, yep. And that was many years ago in Ring of Honor. But I remember the chemistry being there between the four of us then, and it was nice to see that it had not diminished.
Yeah, it was a great match. Well, Zoom has given us 5 minutes, so two more questions.
Yeah,
I've always wondered, how did you and Kyle come together as Red Dragon? Whose idea was it for Red Dragon?
that was Hunter,
Okay,
Delirious,
okay.
Hunter Johnson. I was coming in, not sure if I was going to stick or not. I had kind of not a tryout match because I think that they thought that I would have a bit of an upside, but I don't know that creatively we knew what we were going to do. Um, I think they had a plan going forward for Kyle. Kyle was splitting from Davey Richards at the time.
Mhm.
I think they were looking for a reason to get Davey and Eddie Edwards back together, the
Okay,
American Wolves,
yeah.
who hadn't I don't believe been at odds with each other, but weren't necessarily aligned. So to have Kyle turn on Davey would give kind of gave the reason for American Wolves to get back together, which gave Kyle and I huge rub and legitimacy right from the beginning to just step into a program with the American Wolves, who also at that time, people wanted to see back together, so they were very much the baby face that you wanted to be opposite, and establishing Kyle and I as a heel team from that point was just easy to stand across from them, and it really set Kyle and I up, dare I say, in a position that like we just couldn't fail. So even if we sucked
Mm.
and our
Mhm.
chemistry was shit, I still think we would have been fairly successful.
Sure.
But as a bonus to that, Kyle and I had instant chemistry, and within like 2 weeks of setting this thing up, we both felt like, holy shit, I feel like we've been doing this forever, and it's been 2 weeks.
Yeah, terrific. Did you in your wildest dreams, do you think it was going to be as successful as it became?
I don't think so. I don't
Okay.
think so. Like I think we both would have wanted it to, and we both put our heart and soul into it truly. And we developed ideas for everything, right down to the clothes that we would wear outside of our wrestling gear. We thought about little things like the fact that the name had the word red in it, and on purpose we had no red in our gear
Okay.
whatsoever.
Okay.
So it was like we were both very detail oriented people in the pro wrestling industry, and I think you can be that. And I know, like, as a kid growing up, all the little details were the things I noticed. I noticed when Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson wore, gear that colors matched, but the gear wasn't exactly the same like other teams, like the Rock and Roll Express or other, like I noticed and picked out little things like that. So when it came to Red Dragon, we did a lot of that same stuff. And I think that was a big reason why it did get over the way it did.
Just want to ask about Red Dragon. Um, what are the odds of you and Kyle O'Reilly getting back together? Have we seen the last of Red Dragon, or could the fans expect to see you come together again in the future?
I certainly hope we haven't seen the last. It would be a shame to not revisit. Red Dragon is it's near and dear, I think, to both of us. The Undisputed Era, another thing near and dear to both of us. We had a chance to kind of have the Red Dragon years and then have the Undisputed Era version of Red Dragon. So I think some way, shape, or form. Um, I personally hope that we've not seen the last. Kyle needs to heal up. His surgery and stuff was probably long overdue and something I think that needed to be addressed. He's addressed it. Um, it's a slow build coming back from something like that, and there's no reason to rush it. Neither one of us are going anywhere. But yeah, I think I can speak for Kyle a little bit when I say that I think we both would like to revisit Red Dragon for sure.
Okay, definitely. I hope one day you guys reunite
Yeah, somewhere.
somewhere down the road, somewhere down the road. I also want to get your thoughts on WWE under Triple H regime. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I've made no secret about how fond I am and was of the time that we spent working for Hunter. Um, we Vince McMahon's name was on the checks, but when we were working for NXT, like Hunter and Shawn Michaels, they were the guys, they were the coaches that we played for, and I will liken it to that because of my years playing football in high school and college, and that being such a big part of my life. There were coaches I had over the years that I wanted to play for. As much as I wanted to play well for myself, I wanted to play well for them too.
Sure.
And I kind of liken it to that, working under Hunter and Sean. We would come through the curtain, and we were kind of there. We were there. I don't want to say their project, but we were their guys. We were Hunter's. Some people nicknamed us Hunter's Horsemen, and
Okay.
I take such pride in that because
That's great.
I was a fan of the same time frame as Hunter and Sean from a pro wrestling standpoint, the NWA, the Crockett years with the Horsemen and the War Games and all of those things. So to think that all these years later, two guys being at the helm in Hunter and Sean and what they create, I'm sure had influence of those years that they were fans over that. And so for them to bring back the War Games and for us to be this group of four and four, best friends, thick as thieves, and that was legit. In the vein of the Horsemen, in the vein of DX, to be able to include us in a sentence with those two names in it, and then to become synonymous with the reintroduction of the War Games as it became to be known with NXT. you know if somebody had explained that to me when I first got into pro wrestling as a career, I would have said you're crazy. That's. So
Okay.
for all of that to play out the way that it did, yeah, I mean, I couldn't be prouder of that time spent working underneath, minds that they understand shit about this business that
Sure,
some
sure,
people will never grasp.
sure.
So it was quite the learning tree to be under.
Were you disappointed that the Undisputed never had a chance at the main roster?
Just disappointed that there was more gas left in the tank
Okay.
for us. And it doesn't really matter where that would have been, whether it be Raw or SmackDown or continued to be NXT or you know, anywhere else. There was gas left in that tank, and there's still gas left in that tank. You know, anything I do now independently, it's what people talk about. You know, the Undisputed Era stuff, Red Dragon. You know, how's Adam? How's Kyle? How's Roddy? And like I said before, it worked and it resonates with people, and I think it will always hold a place in the, you know, for fans, because it was real. It was not something that was manufactured. It's just Hunter was smart enough to see these four, you know, idiots who
Mm.
kind of stuck together, and said like, well, shit, let's slap a name on that and
Yeah.
let's do something with it. So, you know, he just you know, just a brilliant mind, and
Oh, yeah.
he took advantage of something, and it gave us really an opportunity to live a life that probably the four of us didn't deserve.
So the differences between working under Triple H compared to working under Tony Khan.
Um, Definitely different. You know, both have their strengths and weaknesses. Um, just is what it is, you know, just different. Just definitely definitely different. I enjoyed working for both people. I enjoyed my time immensely. I'm, like I said earlier in the interview, I'm not done with wrestling,
Good.
from a standpoint of there's more that I want to do, but I'm pretty friggin' happy with the life that this, you know, kid from upstate New York, you know, barely 5'9",
Mhm.
you know, the life and the career that I've been blessed with. You know, I count myself a pretty lucky dude.
And you fantastic career. Like I said, I've been a big fan of long time.
Thank you, sir.
You've had a fantastic career. So last question, and then we'll wrap this up. What do you hope to have accomplished by the end of 2023?
2023, by the end of 2023, I would I'd really like to I'd like to have another fight.
Okay.
I would definitely like to fight again. I would like for that fight to be either kickboxing or MMA. But you know, I've had I've chatted with people about all sorts of things, even you know, bare knuckle and what, like, I want to compete. I still have that compete a little bit, so I would like to check that box. I would also like to continue wrestling. Wrestle. I wouldn't mind, you know, heading back over to Japan. Um,
Okay.
I would like to be, you know, featured in a high profile situation again. You know, the consistency of that life is still attractive to me. Um, but I, you know, I wouldn't mind finding a slightly different direction in the same same sort of field. Wouldn't be opposed to that either. I don't
Okay.
know, whatever that is. Like, I'm very interested about the opportunities that could come my way that, like, I'm not even aware of. Like I said, that boxing opportunity fell in my lap. So um I'm definitely open to
Okay.
whatever's
Well,
there.
all right, fair enough. All right, Bobby, it was absolute pleasure talking to you today. Thanks for coming back. Sorry about
No worries,
we
sir.
went dark, but thank you so much. It was an absolute
All
pleasure. Hopefully
good.
we can do this again at
All
some
good.
point in the future. Good luck against Will Ospreay. I know you're gonna
Yes,
get that
sir.
win back
Yes, sir.
and
Thank you.
enjoy the rest of the evening.
Yes, sir. You too. Thank
Okay,
you very
thank you. Take
much.
care.
All right.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.